basically graduated. You've had, what, 3 exhibitions already in the last year? 4? One coming up in January?
Yeah. I've had a few. I haven't kept up, but
it's probably annoying for a lot of your peers, because you're the guy that we sort of pretend doesn't exist when we're telling students and graduates and emerging photographers how hard it is. We talk about having to stay in front of people and consistently produce work and good work and, be annoying. And you haven't really had to put in too much work, too much time to actually get your work up on walls, which is really fantastic. And I think you know that, and I hope you know how enthusiastic people have been about the series. Stephen Mallon, I think, is a really interesting example of someone who is running a studio and is really, really busy, but also doing quite diverse photography. And he's been a businessman since the beginning. And I think what you said earlier about photography being so much more than just photography, we always say it's like 90% business and 10% photography. And I think that up-and-coming photographers and actually established photographers need to understand that too, because, I often talk to photographers who don't seem to be inclined to spend 90% of their time on the business side of things. And it's really important to understand that going in, because if you think you're just going to be this creative and all you're going to do is be creative, you need to just go, work at Saks shooting product or something like that. At your internships, you gained a broad understanding. How important would you say it is? I mean, in my day, people used to assist. They'd either study photography or not. They'd get a gig assisting a photographer, whatever that meant, editorial or commercial, whatever. And they'd do that for almost nothing. Now you've got internships for absolutely nothing, right? No financial return whatsoever. Like you said, just the exchange of knowledge for idiocy. How important do you think it is?
Well, I think it's case by case. I wouldn't suggest that everybody go out and start working for free, because that's not plausible either. I think that it's important for there to be a capitalistic exchange here. I mean, if you are gaining knowledge, access, experience, what have you, from a fruitful internship that leads to paying jobs or what have you, then I absolutely advocate for that. But I've also found myself in internships that I'm not that thrilled about, and by the end of it, you spend 6 months at a place and you're just really frustrated that you gave up all that free time, but I think I might be dodging your question, but really I think the answer is that
it depends.
Yeah, it depends, but I think the market is so crazy, because I hear every couple of days that print is struggling, that there aren't as many jobs available, but I do know that last year I graduated SVA with 100 other photographers, and that's just one school. I mean, if we combine SVA and Pratt and FIT and NYU, just in the New York City metro area, that's people that studied photography.
I once heard that there were 40,000 registered photographers in New York City. 40,000, and that was probably 10 years ago. So it is really challenging, and obviously not everyone's going to make it. You have had some pretty good early success. Does that worry you at all?
Absolutely. Yeah, you can't keep that going, I'm looking at things for longevity, and fulfillment too. I mean, when I first came to New York, the flashing lights really seduced me, and I thought that what I wanted to do was exclusively be a really great studio celebrity portrait photographer. I thought I wanted to be Richard Avedon. That was my end goal. And not to say that I wouldn't love that. I would. But I don't think Richard Avedon became Richard Avedon overnight either. Richard Avedon pursued things that he loved, and then through that, and just being, I think, having some humility, some grace, some good work ethic, goes a really long way. And I mean, that's really all I can work toward, is just trying to stay focused and continue to make work that's important to me, and just hope that it's important or relevant to the viewer.
I think that the Hegemony or Survival series probably does have longevity. Every day now, we are hearing more in the news about the war. What message? Explain to me what message you were intending to convey with the series, and have you had any flack for the series? Have you had criticism, political criticism for the series?
I've tried my best to remain a little ambiguous as to what my positions are on certain topics, because moving through navigating the art world is very different than navigating military culture. They're both just two polar opposites, but they both, despite how different both those groups are and how insular we might think they are, they both deal with very similar topics of race, gender, class. These are things that I think transcend whether you're an artist who is really hip and lives in Williamsburg, or whether you're an infantryman who lives in the dirt somewhere else. Like this summer, I spent the summer with the 173rd Airborne Brigade. And these are really tough guys who live in the dirt and train and shoot all day. And even though they epitomize masculinity, they still have the same problems that my friends do in Williamsburg, that my friends in art school do. They still have parents, they still have siblings, they're still concerned with the topics that are happening in their community, and I really hope that work is descriptive of these things. I think we're reaching a point in, at least in our recent history, when these topics are hot, they're hot button, and everybody's talking about equality, and everybody's talking about civil rights, and what did I want to get accomplished with it? I know that these are overlapping and conflicting topics, and I just hope to be a part of a dialogue that I care about. I'm not really here. I don't. The intention of the work was never to convince or persuade anybody to think or feel a certain way. I just wanted to bring attention to things that I noticed that were important to me.
And your models were actually guys you served with, is that correct?
Right. Either guys I served with directly, or people that I have met through the military. Because I guess that depends on your definition of, how I've served, because at SVA, I became the treasurer of a small veterans club. We started a small veterans club because we identified that there were, just like during post-World War II, there were many returning GIs coming home from combat zones who now had these tickets, these meal tickets to go to college. And more than a few of us found ourselves at art school. And we really missed the community that is the military. The military does camaraderie like nobody else. It's like any football team, any wrestling team, any sports team. These people we entrust with our lives. So it's very difficult to go from a place where the guy sitting to your left and right is willing to, put himself in harm's way for you, and then find yourself in New York City, where,
the same thing applies.
It's the survival of the fittest,